Yeah! Yeah! Expendables! Oh, going action! And bullets! And guns, man! And those big, sweaty men! It's so hairy! And they're so, big! And, God! America! For the first Expendables, my hopes for the film was that, like, the whole cast and crew would come to the realization that the 80s action movies they were, doing this revival conglomerate for were only kind of good in a how bad they actually are kind of way, looking back, and how basically everything is goofy from the 80s in retrospect. But apparently, some of them didn't get the memo, because that's what I was really hoping, that they were going to make this really badass action movie, but at the same time kind of play off all of the things that were truly terrible about the movies they were reviving. And I think that's the big problem with it. Not that it really takes itself too seriously, because it's definitely knows it wants to be over the top and ridiculous. Like, in the old movies, it was goofy by a byproduct of how it tried to be gritty, but was just so poorly made. Now it's like, they're much better made, but they still try to be goofy, but with this new grittiness, and they just clash. And there's really just a lack of balance, and despite the fact that I really didn't like anybody in the original cast except for Jet Li, which is why I like the Expendables 2, it is somewhat better. Because they add a bunch more people, and people that I actually like. Not Chuck Norris, because I fucking hate Chuck Norris. I feel, and this is the same thing, like, I feel like people don't get the fact that, like, people started to make fun of Chuck Norris because he was this kind of better than human being personification in these really terrible, terrible movies and TV shows. That's why people created this ridiculous persona for him, because he was such a terrible actor. And one thing I do like is I feel like they are making fun of the movie itself behind its own back at times, which I like. You Bruce Willis in there, who's like probably one of the few people that I really, really like in the cast, and Liam Hemsworth, who apparently is just, an instant action star now. Arnold Schwarzenegger's in there, which I'm happy to see. I don't personally care for him on, a people level, but, that doesn't matter because he's still really awesome in the movie. He's very funny. I mean, but just the rest of the cast, like Terry Crews, nothing. Dolph Lundgren, nope. Sylvester Stallone, really, no. The first movie failed in a lot of ways because it didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know if it wanted to be one of the movies that it was playing off of, where they're only really memorable because they're so hollow and poorly made, or if it wanted to take the over-the-top atmosphere of that and apply it and transplant it onto a film that was stylish and action-packed. And it just kind of hangs around in the middle there and doesn't really go anywhere. I even felt bored in that movie. Here, they changed directors, no longer Sylvester Stallone, thank God, but it's Simon West, so when I heard that, he directed Con Air, which is, yet again, only really good because it's terrible but enjoyable for that reason. He directed When a Stranger Calls, which is, I think, one of my least favorite movies ever made. And a lot of people, just like the first one, will enjoy this a lot more than me, because despite, some exceptions, the 80s brute action movies just never got anywhere with me, I never got into them. I really tried with Rambo and, Missing in Action and the Dolph Lundgren stuff. Of course, there's some exceptions, there's some Arnie stuff. Bruce Willis, Die Hard, those are fantastic. But there's just this pseudo-masculine mentality, and I just never got into the whole macho douchebaggery thing. Just not my style. And I know, I'm just a big old pussy. There are tons of action movies that I love, but just those, and most things from the 80s, they do not sit well with me. This one comes much closer to just being a simple action movie, so it is an improvement in that area. It's an improvement in a lot of ways, which I really didn't expect. And while I still went in with an open mind, these types of movies really aren't my thing, and I pretty much can enjoy things across the scale as long as they're well made, and these types of movies are really not quality film. Regardless of if they're action or if they're dramas or mystery, it doesn't matter. All that matters to me is being a good movie, and on so many levels this is not a good movie, but unlike the first one, there is still more to offer despite its shortcomings in quality. It's more entertaining, it's slightly better cast, really has much better focus on what type of movie it wants to be, and in what it wants to be, it succeeds in that. If you're into this kind of thing and you like the first Expendables, you'll probably like this one even more. If you didn't like the first Expendables or were disappointed, this one, it is an improvement. And if you don't like the films that this is paying respects to, you're not going to like this at all. So for an unbiased rating, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. I mean, despite, what it is, I feel like that's what it deserves for now. It'll probably change. So what are your thoughts on these types of movies, or the first Expendables? And then after you've seen the Expendables 2, let me know what you thought of it. And I actually love to hear what you think on the fact that I definitely recommend going to see Paranorman this weekend, much more than I recommend seeing this movie. Fucking action! Steaks and vaginas! Beards. I'm so alone.